The attraction of Lake Superior for me is simply the unknown. You can go out there and get beat up by waves and not catch a fish, or you can go out there and truly have the time of your life. And both are real possibilities and happen all the time. Out there where fishing pressure simply doesn't exist, the trout swim freely, untouched by time. There's really no better place on earth. It's just you, the water, and the trout below. You never know what the next fish could look like, or how big or how small it could be. Each fish is different. Each fish is really special. This is the backbone of the drive that keeps us going, doing more, venturing further. Lake Superior is truly the greatest lake in the world. All right, if there's a kind of a time to fish humps and fish structure, I think it's, when the water's really cold and in the fall. And right now it's, early September. And what you can kind of figure is that a lot of fish are going to start to relate to structure. Lake trout out here, they don't all spawn at the same time. Like walleyes will all spawn kind of within the same 5-6 day window, right? It's not the same for lake trout. Like some lake trout will spawn in September, some will spawn in November. So it varies so much just because all the different subspecies of fish out here and their different behaviors. But you can kind of presume that, come early September, lake trout are going to start to relate to reef structure in preparation for the spawn. Yes, there's going to be fish here that have no interest in spawning, that are hanging out around reefs just because there's food, just because there's bait. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, those spawning fish and then those fish that are here to eat. So this is kind of our plan for today, is to use lighter weight gear to jig for these lake trout that are on some structure. Now we're going to try to stay shallower than 100, 120 feet. We're going to kind of let that be our max depth. These are the Mimic swim jigs from Northland Tackle. We're talking a 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce baits. These are awesome, fantastic swim bait heads. Very solid, durable hooks. They fall fast. I think your hookup percentage on these is it's great. It's a great jig head for vertical jigging and for casting. Again, if these fish are super, super shallow, we cast for them. But right now, our plan for today is just to kind of stay vertical and jig them with these Northland Mimic swim jig heads and lighter weight St. Croix rods. It's going to be fun. So we're going to do some idling around here and try to graph a few fish, get on them, and spot lock over them. And it should be a fun day. Stick with us. There he is. There he is. Not a bad fish. That is so fun to feel a lake trout just whack that jig in the plastic so far down there. Watching him on the graph, there's another one following him up. Kind of cool to see, but it's just a thunk. And that's what you get with these lighter weight baits. They fall a lot slower compared to a big 7-8 ounce Bondi bait, for example, or a big tube. These baits fall a lot slower, and these lake trout are just, it just entices them to come up and nail it and be super active and super aggressive. Look at that. That Mimic swim jig, perfect hook set right in the nose of that fish. That's what you want. That's what you hope for. Nice little 2-pounder to start the morning. Not bad though, hey? Super short nose on it. That's a Cisco right there. And this is the time of year where your Siskowits who live in 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 feet of water, push up a little bit shallower, and shallow to these fish is 100, 200 feet to spawn. So that's cool to see. Let's get that one back. But again, just that white 4 5-inch plastic and the old Northland Mimic swim jig head, vertical jigging, 120 feet of water. That's pretty cool. There you go. That's a better one. That's taking drag. That's a big head shakes. Better fish. And well, as it's reeling that last one up, we saw that bigger mark at 100. I think that could be this fish.
Yeah. Yeah, super fun with this lightweight tackle. I'm
right?
not used to this. I'm used to the 7-ounce bounty bait.
I know. And that's what's fun, is to downsize and use lighter weight rods, lighter weight gear, lighter weight everything, and you can have an absolute blast with these fish.
Feel the big thump.
Yeah.
100 feet down.
I know, whack. Grab the net for you here. It's gonna be a, I don't know, probably 10, 12 pounder, maybe bigger.
I'm curious.
You gotta love September on Lake Superior. Anything can happen. It's a nice fish. Oh yeah. That's a good one, bud. That's a good one.
Nice fish.
Boom. That's a chunky one.
Yeah, great start.
Look at how thick that fish is, man.
Belly's just bloated.
Wow. That's super cool to see.
Let's get him in the boat here. It's a nice fish. He's one of the fattest lake trout I've ever seen. Look at just a belly on him. He is eating good down. We caught him at 120 feet. Just whacked that Northland swim jig with the white plastic on it. Let's get this fish back in the water. Let's get another one. There she goes. Nice fish. That's an awesome fish.
There we go. That's a bigger fish. That one hit pretty good. Now, something to keep in mind is that I love to lock my drag down as tight as it can go, because if I have a big hook set, I hate when my drag slips. So I lock my drag all the way down, but right after you get done setting the hook, you got to be quick to loosen it in case that fish wants to take a run. If there's a rod that I can recommend for this, like a spinning rod, a 7'6" medium heavy, is absolutely ideal. Yeah, this is a good fish. And this is that saltwater version of the Legend Tournament from St. Croix, and this has got that longer full cork handle, which is awesome. They can't resist a swim bait head and a 4 or 5-inch white plastic. I mean, it's just candy for these fish. It's like putting a Reese's peanut butter cup in front of a human. That's a nice fish. That's a better one. 5, 6, 7 pounder. He said no. He said no. That's awesome. You just don't get this using big, heavy baits. Like, yes, they're effective. Yes, they catch fish. But if you want to just have an absolute riot, grab some lighter weight spinning gear and some Northland Mimic swim jig heads and hook on a plastic, and like, this is so much fun. All right, buddy, my arm's sore. There we go. Oh, so cool, so cool. Let's get this one on the boat, look at her, and get her back quick. Take a quick look at her and send her back on her way. Beautiful fish. Absolutely gorgeous, and just crunched that jig. But right there, that's the result of a good hook set. You get that hook to penetrate through the fish's mouth all the way. How is she looped there? There we go. Beautiful fish. Beautiful Lake Superior lake trout. 8, 9, 10 pounder. Awesome. So much fun on lightweight gear. Let's get this fish back and send her on her way. Boom. Down with vengeance. And again, that's another reason why, you know, lighter weight gear is so effective too. It's effective at catching fish, but it's also effective at releasing fish. because it just gives those fish more of a chance to battle, to burp themselves, to acclimate to the depth change. Like, it's good to see. Sure, throughout the day you're gonna have some fish that just don't naturally burp, and you know, they may struggle to release, but so far, like, every fish has gone straight back down. But again, lake trout are accustomed. We get a lot of questions on, you know, how deep can you catch lake trout out of before they're, you know, not able to be released. And you know, there's a lot of variables that come into play. Number one, how fast to bring them up. Number two, water temps, etc., etc. But you know, usually when water's, you know, we have 58 degrees here today, and taking them up slower, like a lake trout's going to have no problem going back down in 120 feet of water. So super good to see. That's a couple of awesome fish so far this morning, and fast-paced action right there. That's the magic juice. Let's get back down there. There's a fish at 70. There he is. That's a better fish. Take and drag, take and drag. That's why, big head shakes, it's important is to keep an eye on your graph. Right there, I graphed a fish up at like 70 and I reeled up to him and actually got him to eat. You know, when you're vertical jigging like this, a lot of times you're focused on the bottom and want your jigs right on bottom, but just stay aware of your surroundings. And like, if you see a mark up at 70, you reel up to it. This is a big fish. He's got me pinned right now. This is a heavy fish. So much fun. So much fun. And I have 100% confidence in those hooks too. Like, there's a lot of tension, a lot of pressure on this right now, and I know that hook is, you know, it's pinned. Like, that hook is not gonna bend, it's not gonna flex. Like, you gotta have confidence in your gear. I see him at 80, we got him at 80 feet now, but he's going back down. When you see a fish come in suspended like that, like, I have so much confidence that that fish is gonna eat if he can see a bait. Like, if you can get your bait within, you know, 30, 40 feet of that fish, like, he's gonna see it. We're gonna get an eye on this fish here pretty quick. I'm excited to see how big he's gonna be. It's probably gonna be a solid 10, 15 pounder. So cool. Just gets your heart racing to have a 3, 4, 5 minute fight with a lake trout. Like, he can't beat that, man. That's a nice fish, man. So cool. Look at the character on that thing. Look at his top dorsal. That is so unique. Let's get this one in the boat and get her back down. For lightweight jigging gear, like, this is a big fish. Look at that thing. That is, look at the girth on that fish. That's a dinosaur. That's a dinosaur. Look at those front pecs, how big they are. And that Northland swim jig right in its mouth. Like, that's a big, big fish. That is the importance of a quality jig. Look at the front pecs on that fish, how big they are. That is so cool. Let's get her back. That's a cool fish, man. Such a cool fish. Look at that thing. Boom, back down she goes. There's no reason to keep a fish like that, you know. I mean, that's an old fish, probably 25 years old all day. Like, that's a special fish. That's full of character, super unique. Like, they grow slow, especially a fish like that, you know, to me appears more like a Sisquet. That's just, my arm is sore, my heart's racing, and we have beautiful lake trout in the boat. You can't beat it. Along with the very solid hooks that, you know, you obviously can't bend. They're good, strong hooks. This Northland Mimic swim jig also has kind of a plastic keeper, and that's what these two barbs are here, one on the front and one on the back. And when you thread your plastic swim bait up on these, these act like barbs and prevent it from getting pulled down, you know. So a lot of times when we're down there fishing, a lake trout will come up and hit. You set the hook, sure, you miss a couple here and there. It's not going to pull that plastic all the way down, because if that happens, that fish is not likely to hit again. But if that plastic remains in place, especially with lake trout, but you also see it with other species like walleyes and stuff, they'll come back and hit it if your plastic's still rigged up right and intact. So another reason why I like these swim jig heads is just because of those plastic keepers that it has on kind of the shank of the hook there. Great bait, and it's putting a lot of fish in the boat. Eric! Attaboy. That's a good fish. That's a good fish, Eric. That's a good fish you got there, buddy.
Remarking, I looked over to glance at the Lawrence, and it just felt a whack. That was still dropping.
Oh yeah, you got a big fish, buddy. You got a big fish. That's a little bit stiffer of a rod.
Yeah.
Holy cow, look at that graph. That's wild.
He has me just teed over. I haven't been able to do a thing. Just hugging bottom. That's normally what big fish do. They don't like to be raised off bottom. And if you get them off 10, 20 feet, they're just gonna go right back to bottom. This is a saltwater St. Croix, and it's getting a workout today. He's just staying down. Starting to raise him now. You can see him on the Lawrence coming up, but significantly bigger than any fish I've hooked today.
That's a big one, Eric. That's our biggest fish yet.
That is a nice fish. I'm gonna try and land it here. He's not done. That is a nice fish.
Ooh.
There she is. Nice long lake trout. Wow. He did not want to cut up. That was a long fight. They have a lot of energy for these reefs. These fish living down 100 feet. They are not lazy. Probably never seen a jig in his life, so he's not too thrilled about it. Let's get this fish in the boat. Gorgeous lake trout. Wow. Awesome fight. That took a while to get him up, and he did not want to come up. We're using light tackle by Northland. Swim bait mimic jigs. Awesome fish. So fun using light tackle. We normally use big bondies here, and it takes a little bit longer to get down to the bottom, but makes up for it. Such a fun fight, especially when you get rewarded with a big fish like this. We've been waiting for one of these all day.
All right, so kind of as we idle around here and find another spot, what we look for is, 100, 120 feet surrounded by super deep water, whether that's 300, 400, 500 feet. Like, the deeper the better, and the more like isolated the better, I think. And there's gonna be fish on this structure year round, but right now in early September and increasingly as you get into October, there's just gonna be more and more fish that concentrate and pile on this structure in preparation for the spawn. So again, you can come here any time of the year and catch fish, but right now, like, it's just the start of the migration to structure for these trout to spawn. There's one there, so I'm just kind of driving around, just dropping waypoints wherever we see a fish, just to give me confidence that there is a fish there. Again, it's very common not to graph anything, so if you do find that structure, just start fishing it and give it 20 minutes, half hour. If you don't get bit, there's probably nothing there. So, but yeah, just anything that's surrounded by super deep water, and it can come up to 20 feet, the top of it, but graph those sides, find those shelves that are 70, 80, 90, 100 feet, and you're likely gonna find lake trout. So we're gonna idle around here and get some more baits in the water and hopefully see some more gorgeous Lake Superior lake trout. Oh, look at this lake trout. That is a giant, full of character, Northland fishing tackle, mimic swim jigs, combined with a 5-inch white plastic. Big Lake Superior lake trout on deck. What a fish. Look at the size of those front pec fins. That's incredible. Let's get this fish back. I'm almost down there, are you? It's a long ways down.
Yeah, it takes a little while.
It's a long way down. I think I'm about down there. I missed him. I think he's back. Yep. I saw my line just stop and I'm like, I think he's back. Like that one, I didn't even feel that bite. I just watch your line, like use a high vis line and you'll see it just visually. You can just see your line just stop, reel down and set the hook hard because you're gonna have a fish on. This one's interesting. It's like not fighting. It's like dead weight. It's a heavy fish. Hasn't given me any runs.
I think you had one chasing the whole way.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, one came up with him. That's a nice fish. Jeepers, now it goes, now it goes nuts, dude.
He thinks he's a slow-mo.
Dude.
He cleared the water there.
He literally like didn't fight the whole way up and now he's just going.
I got a fish too.
You got one too, buddy?
Yeah.
Attaboy. He just goes off the wall once he got to the surface. I'm gonna grab the net for this guy. That's a nice fish. That's a nice fish. Boom. Where's yours, buddy?
Almost.
You're still coming up?
Still coming up. You got time.
Okay. I'll come over here and net yours and keep mine in there. Keep him in the water so we can get a nice release. But what an incredible, incredible day we've had. Tons of lake trout.
Here he comes.
Little guy, ferocious, hey? You got the biggest one today. You can also get the smallest.
Hey, a couple good burps. Perfect. He's gonna release just fine.
Yeah, let's get these guys in here. Look at that. That there is a way to end the day. Doubles on lake trout and just an absolute blast we've had out here. Catch and release. Lake Superior lake trout in September on Northland mimic swim jig heads and 4 to 5 inch white plastics. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.